Everybody doing well. We finna do a little test real quick, and if the test push through the way I'm hoping, then we all in the dope. This your brother True Jew tapping in with you, the host of the Voice of Zion, coming at you with another live stream, another video, in hopes to help guide and steer our brothers along the righteous path, doing our part to help wake up the lost sheep of the house of Israel, at the same time doing our part to enlighten brothers and our sisters on what we got going on today as a people, how we should begin viewing and seeing each other, and what we can do to work together to effectuate a better present time for ourselves. It's a lot of overcast right now. I don't know if y'all can see right here, but it's it's really great. We had some good, well needed rain yesterday, and it was a trip because it was so sunny yesterday. And after yesterday's live stream, I got out the truck and I was looking. I was like, "Ooh, them look like some rain clouds coming in." And sure enough, all night it been raining, and I think it was raining today too. I still got some water on my windshield, so I'm pretty sure it was raining. But nonetheless, I've also been speaking on that Wisdom app, y'all. That Wisdom app is something else. It's really the real deal. The Wisdom app is really great. I had a podcast that I started back in 2019. Um, yeah, it was 2019 when I started the podcast. I called it the Vibe Way with Scipio podcast, and I've changed it to the Vibe Way with True Jew at this point. But I started that podcast on Anchor, and then was pushing it through Spotify and everything like that. But as y'all know, I ain't rocking with Spotify right now. All my content, my scripture content, is still on Spotify. It can still be streamed and everything, but they not getting no new content from me anytime soon. And so because of that, I wanted to figure out a different. I kind of left Anchor alone for a moment, and then one of my partners had told me about Wisdom. So I was like, man, let me see what's up with Wisdom. He actually sent me a link to his latest podcast on that app, right? So I checked it out. I listened to his podcast. Definitely want to support him. And then I was like, man, let me see what this is like for myself. So I downloaded the app and I've been using it pretty much every day. Um, I took a little break this past week and just got back on it last night. And it was an incredible, incredible session. Last night went on there and was talking about the identity of the Anunnaki. It's a subject that I've already brought forth on this channel, but I touched on it in a slightly different way, especially based on all of the new activity that's in the skies and correspondence with what so-called NASA and all of them are saying now in the Space Force. So I definitely added some more content to it. The thing that's dope about wisdom, and this ain't me selling wisdom, y'all. I'm just sharing something real quick. The thing that's dope with wisdom to me is that one is founded by a sister, okay, a sister from the UK. That's one. And two, she's her mission statement is to avoid all the ratchetness and all the weird energy that's in apps today and all of that type of stuff. And you know, she feels like her competition is that Clubhouse app. I never even used Clubhouse. I never wanted to, but she's bypassing all of the foolishness. And so the wisdom, just in its name alone, wisdom, it conveys a certain energy over it. Clubhouse, you can see how like the clubhouse that could be ratchet versus wisdom, where you already are getting a seed planted in your mind that whatever you say and however you behave, however you act, however you present yourself on this particular app, you should definitely have a form of wisdom about you. You know what I mean? And so the other thing is, it's not just a one-way conversation. Imagine YouTube, and imagine on YouTube, they might introduce this one day on YouTube. If they do, dope. But imagine being able to tap in with the live streamer on YouTube live. So you on the other side of the screen, imagine being able to just tap in through the app, not having to do extra software and none of that stuff. Just imagine you being able to hit a button and being able to be requested to join in a conversation. Well, that's what wisdom does. Wisdom allows you to basically join in on whatever live stream you're listening to, add your 2 cents, be a guest speaker, ask questions. And last night, it was such a blessing. Two brothers got on there, and during my live stream toward the tail end of it, and the live stream was pushed to almost 4 hours because of the conversations that took place after the original presentation. And so that happens often. You get paid. You get paid in digital currency. Excuse me. You get paid in digital currency every time that you speak on the app. It's called Mentor Coin. It's a form of. It's not really cryptocurrency, but it might be actually. It is crypto. It's digital. So you end up getting your mentor coin, and then you can pay for certain things using the mentor coin. Okay, like so far I've seen like Amazon gift cards and stuff like that. So you convert it into gift card money, and then you can do whatever you want with that. As far as whatever Amazon or the platform that the gift card is for offers to you. So once again, this ain't me selling it. I'm just letting y'all know I've been going back and forth from YouTube to Wisdom and the Wisdom app over the last week and a half, and it's adding to my service. It's adding to what I do and my calling, and it's a different type of community than what's on YouTube. And so it's beautiful to be able to expand and broaden the reach in order to help wake us up. That's my main objective. That's my main priority. And speaking of that, I think we should go and begin talking about today's topic of discussion. We're still building up righteous brothers. It's a new acronym for that now. I call it the B.U.R.B. It's the B.U.R.B.'s movement, the Building Up Righteous Brothers movement. Okay. And the goal is to get brothers in line mentally, spiritually, and physically with being sound husbands, sound marital material. Um, I know, like, I see different forms of content all over the place these days, and I'm not gonna sit up here. One thing I ain't gonna do is be no simp. I ain't no simp. I ain't no sucker. I mean, y'all know that. But I also have a heart. I have a heart. I'm an empath, and I see what I see. And for the life of me, I know that if our sisters, this is real talk, if our sisters could see a better way to go, just like we say in the Bay, you knew better, you do better. If our sisters could see a better way to go, and it was proven that that was the best way to go and to behave and to act and respond to certain situations, we wouldn't see the ratchetness that we see right now. We wouldn't. We wouldn't see that. And if our men stopped enabling our sisters, because I know a lot of times it's reverse. Brothers like to say, "Oh, our mamas enable us or enable their children to do certain things," and now we have a society full of misreputation of our people as a whole, right? And I'm like, what? We still have a moment of hope here. We're not gonna give up on our people. We're not gonna give up on our people. What we look like? What we look like giving up on our mamas? What we look like giving up on our sisters? What we look like giving up on our nieces, our daughters? We not finna do that. We're not finna sit up here and point the finger at our women and keep saying that, oh, these so-called modern women are are doing certain things that's destroying us as a culture and this and that. Oh, the mama's a single family household and she's the one running the house now. And I just hear brothers left and right blaming the woman. Honestly, brothers that's watching this, we have to stop that. And I'm gonna say we have to stand together in accountability. Everybody might not want to hear what I'm finna say, not for this one, but it's necessary. It's very necessary. It truly is. My early rap culture, my early rap life, definitely had a hand in how I was talking about our sisters, how I was talking about our women, how I would treat our women on music, on wax. Um, there were songs I had talking about so-called black love. I would rap about those things. But then there was also songs I had that we would consider turn up ratchet songs that was disregarding who we should be in favor of what we thought was the smartest way to move at that time. Worried about the clubs, worried about turning up, worried about the life, in the street and all of that sort of thing. So that's why I say we. I'm not out of it, as far as not being a part of what we see today, but I am out of it as far as adding to it today. Okay. I'm doing my part to remove that part of me that was causing the debasement or helping to aid in it, versus now looking at my own actions and saying, oh, no, we need to turn around. We need a 180. We need to, if I had a hand in this, let me first fix my hand in it. And then let's start identifying what it is so that we can help other brothers not make the same or do the same action, because our sisters are malleable. Just like how coming up as young men, our minds are malleable. We begin to learn certain things. We begin to do certain things that's based off of what we think is proper, based off what we think is the best way to go. It's not until we know different that we realize, oh, snap, I got something I got to compare my past to in the present and in the future that I want to go toward. And if it don't align up, then the smartest of us is going to address it and make the corrections, the course directional changes. We're gonna do what it takes to get on a better, excuse me, piece of my mustache went in my mouth. Nah. We're gonna do what it takes to get on a better path so that we can be the people who we think or know we need to be now. So Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, brother Judah Ken. Yeah, bro, we still got some work we got to do, huh? A lot of changes that took place in the last day or so. In regards to our dear brother Ye. Um, Side note, dealing with that brother and the distractions of him, I think one thing that is obvious to everybody, or should be obvious, is that he was right in that the Jewish community, so-called Jewish community, they've all band and round together to block him out and box him out. Everything he said that was not anti-Semitic at all, they're actually doing to him right now. And it's all a play. Everybody that he has investments with, everybody that he's done work with, designs with, is trying to figure out how to box him out now, like they always wanted to do, and take over all of his creative creative designs and control his creations so that they can monetize them further. And I'm like this: if you go and box a brother out and you think he's anti-Semitic, why would that corporation who think he's anti-Semitic still want anything to do with his products? Oh, because the products are popular and they make billions of dollars. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Products are popular, they make billions of dollars. And as long as we could get rid of this dude, that's more money in our bank. That's more money in our coffers. We don't got to pay him no more. We don't got to cut him a check. We don't have to give him royalties because of his so-called anti-Semitic statements. Perfect for us. We're just going to distance from the guy, but not from everything the guy created. Okay. So everything that he said is spot on in that regard. So we're going to see how he bounces up from that. But we have a lot of brothers that have made mistakes in our life, in their life. Some brothers have been forced to sit down. Some brothers in prison, in jail. Some brothers have been forced to step away from what they thought they was finna do and reanalyze themselves, renegotiate their position, if I may. And so I think more than ever, especially this post-pandemic era, you got a lot of folks that's trying to bounce back. This ain't no joke. All that EDT, all that money that was flowing in, stimulus money, all of that it's fleeting now. So you got a lot of folks, men and women, who are trying to figure out, you know, how they want to move forward after getting that taste of the last couple years of not having to do much. I hope that during that time period, all of y'all who support this channel was building up business for yourself, really taking entrepreneurialism seriously, really doing the due diligence in whatever sector it is that interests you, so that you can continue to build up yourself, build up your families, right? But today I want to talk about learning how to say thank you. And I know that has a certain surface level um, context to it. Learning how to say thank you. You what you mean? Like when I'm at the fast food restaurant and they hand me my food, say thank you. Nah, I'm not talking about that context of thank you. What I'm talking about is learning to say thank you when things don't seem to be working out the way that you would like them to work out. I think more than ever, right now, what we're seeing amongst our culture and this society, and I'm talking about so-called black folk, I'm talking about the real Israelites in America. What we're seeing right now, honestly, if we look at it and analyze this for real, yes, we see a lot of pain. Yes, we see a lot of ratchetness. Yes, we see a lot of killing, stealing, plotting, planning, deceit. We see a lot. I'm going to take a chance and say, I don't know if we've ever been this low. I don't know if we've ever been this low. I know slavery was a horrible, horrible condition for us, but the one thing we had in slavery for the most part, so I'm told, is that while our people were enslaved on them plantations, I know you got the house, field, Negro, and I know that there was always a form of competition, jealousy, and envy based off of certain placement. I do get that. That was part of the Willie Lynch program. That was part of that programming that would put us against one another on the plantation. We know about that. But we also know that if an individual removed himself or herself from that plan and that plot and joined forces with those of our people who might not necessarily been involved with the upper crust, upper echelon format of the plantation living, then there was more unity because the division was identified and the division was put to the side from the best of our ability as a people having to experience those horrendous acts of being enslaved. Now, if you do away with the Willie Lynch, you look at us as a unit, there were multiple moments in our history where we wanted to band together and we wanted to do our best to build community, to build up that economic base that other countries cultures have. So every time I think about so-called Jewish community or Chinese community, Asian community, European community, especially those who immigrated here under their own recognizance, I'm oftentimes have to move past the perplexities of that. Okay, if you listen to their rhetoric, they'll make you feel as though they went through everything they had to go through. Oh, grandpapa came over here as an immigrant with 2 cents in his pocket and made this great corporation. You know, and if you don't if you don't really know your history and ain't peeping what they dropping, then it's like, oh wow, that is a great story. Woo, great for your family. And then you got to question, why wasn't my family able to do that? Well, once again, we have a totally different experience than any other people in this country. And due to our totally different experience, we're still not able to today say that no matter how many millions of dollars an individual owns, he or she is still controlled in what they can do with it. So you could see a high paid athlete who appears to get hundreds of millions of dollars over his or her career, but they're one of us, kinfolk, they not kinfolk. And the reason for that is One thing I learned this past year as I left the Bay Area and as I got to the land with my family was that you can have whatever you need money wise, monetarily, but if don't nobody want to sell you or do business with you, then it don't matter how much you have. Yes, that's the history that's shared. Immigrants have a different start. Yes, immigrants have a totally different start, Queen Sister Chalet V. They have a totally different way about doing business. They have a unit that isn't attacked. They have an opportunity, and I don't want to hear about gangs in New York. That was a bunch of miscreant immigrants coming in, bringing they funk and they dramas in, trying to get little pieces of a pie that were purposefully dissected in order to cause as much discord as possible, so that another nation of people can have a one up over another, but still not relegating those people into slavery. All right, so I don't want to hear about the gangs in New York. I don't want to hear about that. I know all about it. My point is that we as a people, ever we mustn't forget this. My people, we mustn't forget this. We were literally statesmen, artisans, kings, queens, princes, people of the royal courts, people who have a high acumen for learning, for teaching, for acquiring, for maintaining, very fiscally responsible people. We came from a people and come from a people who have control over lands, properties, who have control over deeds, cattle, okay, livestock, shepherds, people who understand how to be husbandmen, meaning breeding certain animals together in order to make more wealth, okay? Like we're not new to this at all. But when we were taken, we were enslaved, we were put into captivity, when we were put in literal chains, when our whole beings and our whole existence was altered in pretty much the blink of an eye, after multi generations of that, and then being born into that condition of enslavement and not knowing or tasting of the experience and only being able to hear oral stories about where we used to be. You know, when we used to be something doesn't work for us necessarily now unless that used to be is so mentally compartmentalized that we can use it for fuel into who we need to be based off of the past today. And and this is one thing when I think about being on the land that has really helped me re-identify myself. Yeah, it's one thing to be Hebrew Israelite in the inner city, in the hood, and we see the scourge of our people. Um, we see the effects of that enslavement in modern days in our hoods, in our ghettos, in our communities. But it's another thing to understand who you are in those places and then begin to envision your life being different. Begin to envision what it was like back then before our enslavement, before this modern technology caught up. And then to try to take that past post or pre enslavement and then bring it into the future in post-enslavement, this post-enslavement era, where now the slave plantations have been moved from the land into the prison industrial complex. Now where the slave plantation has been moved into the NFL and the NBA, you know, the auction block has been moved from auction day, stocks and bonds into this present day draft day, for instance. NBA draft day, NFL draft day. You know, the fights that we would be forced to have to fight big our strongest men having to fight against one another bare knuckle to the death oftentimes has now been changed into, and this is my favorite sport, boxing, but now it has been moved into the boxing ring where these fighters can earn millions and billions of dollars for their promoters and not ever be taught financial literacy or be put into a place and position where when they earn, they don't know how to deal with taxes and how to funnel those funds in a way where they can maintain the majority of their funds. You know what I mean? How to invest properly and how to manage their monetary gain in a way where it can benefit multiple generations. And this is all by design. So, what I'm saying is, we have to learn how to say thank you. When things don't go our way, one of the biggest things that I've learned this past year is that things are going the exact way they need to go in order for us to grow. One thing about us, we was made mentally and spiritually strong. The most mental and spiritually strong people on the face of this earth. Now, when they start creating drugs, like whatever, what are them depressing drugs and drugs for when they call us crazy and then they give us these drugs, right? That they create in these labs that are specifically tuned into our genetic frequency and to who we are as a genetic people, right? Once those drugs are ingested and they give us a stage, that's by design too. That's what we see with Brother Kanye, for instance, where we know we're dealing with a genius mind. But if he was given he was given something. I forget the name of the drug, but he was given something. And a lot of people would say once he was given whatever that something was, he was never the same after that. Now, of course, he still has his mind, his way of thinking. He has a certain idea that he wants to manifest, but that still is being combated every day by this drug, the effects, the long lasting effects of the drugs that they gave him. And so now what we're looking at is a brother who's discombobulated and is still trying to hold on to a sense of genius that he knows he had. He's still trying to search for that. And when I talk about saying thank you, I talk about learn to say thank you. I'm talking about learning how to accept the divine will of the Most High. The Most High tells us in the Word that my thoughts are not your thoughts, my ways are not your ways. Okay? When we begin to take accountability of our past and we dig deep within and we recognize that everything we're experiencing right now, and I know you have modern Pan Africanists and people who say, we need to go back to Africa out of our own people, not in a racial derogatory way, but meaning we need to reconnect with the roots of Africa. Um, a lot of times, those folks disregard the scriptural narrative as being a slave book, as being something that our captors utilized in order to brainwash us. And when they do that, they're not realizing that that book is talking about us. And they're not realizing that the whole book is about us and that there are the answers that are being sought after as to why we're going through this, why we don't have our own laws, why we don't have our own communities, why every time we build a community, it gets knocked down versus what the Italians and the Chinese and the East Indians and the Hindus and the Pakistanis and all of the Arab people today and all of these people are allowed to do build community versus every time we build community, it doesn't work for us. Like I said, until we're able to realize that other men and women, the other nations who we might want to lean on today as far as doing business with, those who have propped themselves up over us to control the industries that we realize we need to have some control in as well in order to actually grow, we're not making certain calculated moves, and the moves that we do make, they seem to get knocked down because when individuals get close to certain successes that they look for, most of those individuals don't have the proper mentality to now go back to the people, our people, and say, okay, this is why certain things aren't happening, or this is why certain things are happening. And it's all spiritually based, it's all scripturally based as to why these things aren't taking place the way that we might like them. Hold on, y'all. Let me see. I guess it's going to have to be like that for right now. All right, so you go back to the scriptures and you begin to see that the narrative is real and it's living and it applies to us now. I think one of the biggest things we should do as a people is cry out to the Most High. I remember back in like 2015, 16, um, certain individuals would try to get a national prayer day established where all the Israelite people that know that we're Israelites, or even if we don't know we're Israelites, were able to get together wherever we were and pray and just pray at a certain time of the day. And everybody pray. Everybody cry out to the Most High. Everybody seek the face of the Most High. Everybody ask for forgiveness, right? And in doing that, maybe we can be removed out of this situation. Well, I remember certain times they were successful, but it wasn't on a national level. It would be a large number of people, 150, 200 people joining in, 250 people joining in. That's a large number, but not in comparison to the millions of us, not in comparison to all of those people who could be influential, who chose not to participate, who don't know, who don't choose to believe in order to know, you know. So we have a situation right now that's crucial, and we have to figure out how to navigate through it at this very important time in our society when we've seen examples of our own neighborhoods being built and then torn down. When we've seen examples like the Move movement um, in Philly, where they dropped fire bombs on our people. When was that? The 80s? The Move movement, where we've seen very well to do organizations like the Black Panther Party feeding the neighborhoods, creating programs uh, to empower us, getting taken down through COINTELPRO. We've seen certain things take place, and what I think is interesting is the very thing, one of the very things that we were brought over here to cultivate and produce in the form of cotton. I think cotton is one of those textiles or one of those industries that if we got back to as a people, modern day technology, what it is, we can grow tons of cotton now. And this might seem like a side note, but it's not. We ran from everything that caused us nightmares. And we ran to all of those things that would make us feel good about our condition, even though our condition, we were not out of our condition. Over the past 40 years, let me see, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 10, 50 years now since the 70s. Wow, 50 years past the 70s now. That's wild. But ever since the 70s, when that documentary from corporate America, How to Sell to the Negro, have y'all seen that movie? That documentary, How to Sell to the Negro? Once our people left the South and began to migrate, corporations began to get smart. Remember how there was a big segregation amongst our people? No, we ain't selling to no blacks. We ain't selling to no Negroes. Well, they realized, wait a second, we want money. Now Negroes are moving out of the South and are moving into places where they can earn money. They saw what happened with Tulsa. We saw Rosewood. We saw the other communities that we were building. And one thing that really pissed off white people more than anything is that now, for the first time in this country, we were taking our hard earned dollars and we were creating industry where we were circulating that money between us. And we were also in a position to hire other nations. And they did not like that. They didn't like that because for the first time, we had control over how we thought about money. And we realized the importance of sticking together. And we realized the importance of creating industry for ourselves and then controlling that industry with the power of who we wanted to let in. Well, after so many years of attack and abuse, the children who were victimized after seeing their mothers and fathers' businesses burned to the ground, seeing their fathers lynched, and seeing their mothers taken away, even post enslavement, and families being broken up after we've had a taste of success outside of the plantation. That scared so many children that by the time they were grown in the 60s, the 50s, the 70s, they taught their children how to be consumers and not producers. So now we live in a position where, oh, if I have a choice as a people, we have a choice as a people to either be consumers or producers, recognizing that we're being punished to produce for ourselves, but not punished when we produce for them, versus we're not being punished when we consume what they produce. Oh, if that's going to keep us alive and keep them from lynching and keep them from hurting us, then we're just going to figure out a way to work for them again and get our little money and then consume whatever products they have to put in our face. If that means we can finally live a life of peace. Woo! And that's what we have been seeing now. And now it's at a downward spiral. Now the spirit of greed, the spirit of lust, the spirit of division has truly, truly covered us. And now we're here trying to figure out how do we get out of this. And we've run for the most part from everything that we can do, but there's still hope. When individuals can begin to band together, when we can begin to band together and get the land back, it might take a few months, it might take a couple years for us to see our power again. But the point is, we have power when we make the decision to get back to the land. I know there's a stain on our conscience in regards to cotton, for instance. But if we could get the land back and we could start growing cotton for ourselves, then we could start teaching ourselves how to produce the cotton, how to cultivate it, how to harvest it, and then what to do with the cotton afterwards. Guess what? If enough of us get the land and dedicate it to cotton alone, we can begin to control the textile industry. We can begin to get a piece of that pie without having to worry about, okay, well, I have a brand, I have recognition in like a Kanye position where Kanye has the name Yeezy, but that's all it is. It's a name. They won't ever let him control the actual textile that that name goes on. They won't let him control the rubber. They won't let him control how the insoles are actually made to the shoe. They won't let him control the cotton. So he has to figure out how to bust into the Louis Vuitton and the Balenciaga industry where they have control over the actual textile, the cloth itself, you see. And that's why an individual that has hundreds of millions of dollars, that's, they'll say pennies compared to the family who owns the fields of cotton where those textiles are being produced from. We have to put the Hayneses and the Fruit of the Looms and all of those folks out of business by making the proper calculated moves that it takes to build us up from the bottom up again. But this is the other thing. I could speak idealistically all I want. None of that is going to work for us in the place of our captivity until we are brought to a true understanding of who we are and why we were placed in the captivity in the first place. And our people, unfortunately, are so lost mentally and spiritually that I don't know if that would ever happen before the return of a Mashiach. Because every place I look in the scriptures, yes, there are certain slivers of light, where we see, oh, let's do this and let's build up in the place of our captivity. Let's do this. Let's have our children. Let's do our best for the meantime. But it's not until the new kingdom comes that I have been able to see that us as an Israelite people will actually be able to get back to the top again, just because of all of the debasement that we've gone through as a people, you know? And so what we have to do is make the best decisions right now that we can make. And this is where we learn to say thank you. Because we've been through on the surface, horrible. It's totally horrible. This is where I know folks get upset with certain of us who talk what I'm finna say, and they might call it Stockholm syndrome. They might accuse it of being a brainwashing. I'm very well aware of what we could do as a people versus what we are doing versus the type of mindsets we could have. But when we have that mindset that says, oh, just pick ourselves up and tighten our bootstraps up, pull ourselves up from the bootstraps and all of this sort of thing, now that we have boots, the kicker is our spiritual thinking about what we want to do isn't right. And we're still trying to chase after the white man, the Asian man. We're trying to play catch up. And when you try to play catch up, when I try to play catch up, and I'm not recognizing the bigger spiritual connotations over the game itself, that's where we fall again. Because then we get to a point where now we have to do business with those very individuals who had a hand in enslaving us. They know this, and they're only going to do so much. Like in Ye's case, oh yeah, we'll let you influentially brand our products. We'll let you think that you're designing. We'll let you think that you have an opportunity to control this and control that. We'll let you get your little billion, 2 billion, $3 billion. Oh, you're the richest black man now. And we also have the power as a unit. They control all the industries right now. So see what they doing to Ye? As soon as he say a statement they don't like, they could just spread the word amongst their corporate partners because there's only 13 or so families that own all the industry anyway. So if they get the word from one of those families, hey, shut this brother down, then all of a sudden the brother's network drops overnight because now they have band together. We didn't band together. See, if we band together and let's say as a people, all right, stop buying the Balenciaga, stop buying all the gold from them, stop buying all the Louis Vuitton from them, stop buying all their cars, stop buying all of their boats, all their trucks, stop spending money on all their clothes, then guess what? Now our money, what we have as far as consuming goes, how they have formulated these plans to sell to a Negro. Now, guess what? Instead of us trying to buy something that they don't want to sell us, we not gonna buy what they trying to sell us. As long as we're buying what they want to sell us, then they feel good that we're still in our stupor financially. They feel good that we're still consuming. But we need to go back like our ancestors on them ships. Remember when they was trying to feed that nasty mush and that nasty crap to our ancestors who would never even open their mouth to eat that stuff and they had to break our front teeth out and force that stuff down our throat just to feed us so that we would have so that we wouldn't die on the ship over, on the ship ride over. Y'all remember that, right? People wasn't trying to eat that goop, whatever it was. We was forced to eat it, right? In today's day, we don't have to be forced to consume nothing. But that's where self-sacrifice come from. That's where community sacrifice come from. And our people are so